Top 50 World Current Affairs Q&A, the 13th of November 2025, UPSC, FPSC, CSS preparation. 1. Where was COP30 taking place on the 13th of November 2025? Answer. Belém, Brazil. 2. What major warning was issued at COP30 regarding global warming? Answer. The world is on track for 2.6 degrees Celsius warming. 3. What treaty did activists push for at COP30? Answer. A global fossil fuel non-proliferation treaty. 4. Which country launched a national climate health action plan during COP30? Answer. Brazil. 5. Which global forum was called dormant due to multiple leader absences? Answer. G20. 6. Which world leader announced a boycott of the 2025 G20 summit? Answer. Donald Trump, USA. 7. Which country sent its premier instead of its president to the G20 summit? Answer. China. 8. Which country's president also skipped the 2025 G20 summit? Answer. Argentina. 9. Which country's prime minister ordered a full audit of state-owned companies on the 13th of November 2025? Answer. Ukraine. 10. Which Ukrainian energy company was included in the audit? Answer. Energoatom. 11. Which European leader discussed anti-corruption reforms with Ukraine on this date? Answer. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. 12. Which EU country raised objections to continued funding for Ukraine? Answer. Hungary. 13. What transparency issue surfaced at COP30 on the 13th of November 2025? Answer. Many delegates had undeclared affiliations or lobby ties. 14. Which country pushed strongly for climate justice reforms at COP30? Answer. Colombia. 15. Which global organization warned that climate commitments remain insufficient? Answer. UNFCCC, United Nations Climate Change Secretariat. 16. Which European country criticized slow climate finance progress during COP30 talks? Answer. France. 17. Which major geopolitical concern overshadowed G20 preparations? Answer. Lack of a likely joint communique due to leadership absences. 18. Which international alliance discussed strengthening support for Ukraine on this date? Answer. The European Union. 19. What governance issue was highlighted as a barrier to Ukraine's EU integration? Answer. Corruption within state enterprises. 20. Which global climate initiative gained new momentum on the 13th of November 2025? Answer. Calls to phase out fossil fuels entirely by mid-century. 21. Which international observance took place on the 13th of November 2025 promoting kindness? Answer. World Kindness Day. 22. Which country commemorated the 10-year anniversary of the 2015 Paris terrorist attacks? Answer. France. 23. Which Middle Eastern country's emir called for a nationwide rain-seeking istisqa prayer? Answer. Qatar. 24. According to the Climate Action Tracker report, the world is on pace to warm by how much? Answer. 2.6 degrees Celsius. 25. Which country's parliament advanced a death penalty bill for terrorism? Answer. Israel. 26. Which African country's city needed a humanitarian aid corridor after paramilitary capture? Answer. Sudan, El Fasher. 27. Which country's national football team played a match on the 10-year anniversary of the 2015 attacks? Answer. France. 28. Which region's electoral vote counting was reported with 55% turnout? Answer. Iraq. 29. Which Middle Eastern country experienced a nationwide blackout? Answer. Dominican Republic. 30. Which global coffee chain announced Red Cup Day 2025? Answer. Starbucks. 31. Which country's emissions were projected to reach 42.2 billion tons in 2025? Answer. Global estimate world total. 32. Which organization reported Israeli airstrikes in Gaza on this date? Answer. Democracy Now! 33. Which international book fair drew publishers from 118 countries? Answer. Sharjah International Book Fair, UAE. 34. Which country banned entry of 30 Japanese nationals? Answer. Russia. 35. Which two countries signed a Declaration on Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, focusing On gas and border cooperation. Answer. Russia and Kazakhstan. 36. Which country inaugurated a high-altitude military airbase near its China border? Answer. India. 37. Which African country received antiretroviral medicines from India under and Mo? Answer. Botswana. 38. Which transport incident occurred on the 13th of November 2025 in India? Answer. Pune-Bengaluru highway container collision causing fire. 39. Which country's water crisis risked making its capital uninhabitable? Answer. Iran. 40. Which global observance focuses on making services and products user-friendly on the 13th of November each year? Answer. World Usability Day. 41. Which country's crown prince called for a nationwide rain-seeking prayer? Answer. Qatar. 42. Which country's parliament approved a law banning LGBT propaganda? Answer. Kazakhstan. 43. Which African country held parliamentary elections with approximately 55% turnout? Answer. Iraq. 44. Which country banned 30 Japanese nationals from entry? Answer. Russia. 45. Which country's military cargo plane crashed en route from Azerbaijan to Georgia? Answer. Turkey. 46. Which country reported a humanitarian collapse risk in its Darfur region? Answer. Sudan. 47. Which summit was described as dormant due to absence of major leaders? Answer. G20. 48. Which country's parliament advanced a death penalty bill for terrorism? Answer. Israel. 49. Which country's national football team played on the 10-year anniversary of the 2015 Paris attacks? Answer. France. 50. Which country launched a national climate health action plan during COP30? Answer. Brazil.